In today's video, we're going to go over my pack. It's a pack I take with me when I go bushcrafting, hunting, pretty much everything. So hang with me and we'll go through this. Okay, first off, this is my pack. It's a Swiss mountain pack, rescue pack. I got it a few years ago at a surplus store, and it's pretty good. My last name is Schlosser. It's from Switzerland, and so I'm trying to keep with that theme as much as possible. We'll quickly go over this, but before we do that, I just want to say the only other thing outside of the clothes I wear that's on this is not in this pack. I mean, I have a couple other packs I'll go through in another video, but it's the belt that I keep on my hip. It's nothing fancy. It's not one of these $200 knives. It's just a no-name, not no-name. Actually, I think it's it says Coleman on it, and it's just a 4-inch blade. Does everything I need it to do. It's stainless steel, pretty thick blade on there, and yeah, it's been a good knife. It does have one only thing I would say about it is that on the back side, if I take this off, it has a little ferro rod, which is kind of a neat idea, but it never sticks to the little part that it's supposed to. So I just keep it in there, just to, obviously needs cleaning, but I just keep it in there just for a backup, and it sits in there and I forget about it. It's just an emergency thing to have on there. This little magnetic thing stays on there with a magnet, and obviously, and I just put a piece of duct tape on there. Had a little emblem on here that fell off. I just put a search and rescue button thing on there, and just to kind of fill out that hole. But that's it. You can go and spend you know, a couple $100 on a nice knife and stuff like that, and nothing wrong with that if you can afford to do that. But anybody that knows me knows that I don't like to spend a lot of money on stuff, so I'm kind of a cheap guy. So that's always worked well for me, and I just stick with that. Also attached to on the holster, the sheath, I have a carbide tip for sharpening. I just run that over every time I use it, and every night, and keeps a good edge on it. It's not. It's pretty sharp. Razor sharp. Yeah, I could probably shave with it, but to be honest with you, well, there's hair on there, so yeah, I keep it pretty sharp. Same thing though. I just, you know, I sharpened it when I first got it to get to the edge I wanted, and then after every time I use it, I clean it, sharpen it, put it away. Next time I do the same thing over and over again. So that's my knife. In the pack, on the front, I've also got a little hatchet. Now this one here, I just keep it on the front, covered with this cover here of the flap. We'll go over that pack in a little bit. Inside here, I have just a not really expensive axe. I do have a bigger axe, a Wetherlands axe. It is a bigger axe I don't normally carry around with me. I keep it in the truck actually. It's pretty big. It's a full-size forestry axe. This one here, it's got not a bad edge on it. I mean, it probably could actually use a bit of a sharpening, but it's not too bad. I keep a sharpening stone with that, and same thing. Sharpen it every time I use it. Keep it going. This sheath I made from it was off of an old tool belt, and the tool belt the webbing was kind of failing and stuff like that. So I started salvaging the leather and sewed up one side of it. That just goes in there, and it keeps the axe pretty good, nice and clean, protected. Keeps me protected from cutting myself with the knife. And then I just put that that stone right there, the puck right inside there. Also, I'll pull this stuff out as we go along here. First of all, on this side of the pack, I've sewn a mesh, and inside that I carry what I have in here. It's just a kind of a makeshift blind. I use it as a blind, or it can be a makeshift ghillie suit, or whatever. When I'm out hunting, I can just kind of drape this around me, throw some sticks and stuff like that on there. Works pretty good. It used to be bigger, but it kind of just got, I've had it for a few years, and it's kind of disintegrated a little bit, so I've had to cut it up into pieces a bit, but still a pretty good size. It's probably, I don't know, 5x6 type of thing, so, and that kind of use as sort of, like I say, a makeshift ghillie suit or a camouflage. So pretty much this is a bucket style pack with 3 pockets on the outside. So before I go, actually we'll do the inside first. This string that I have here, the original string actually broke on me, and I always kept this string in with my kit, and for just to kind of have around as extra cordage, and kind of came in handy because when my string broke on me, I couldn't tie this thing shut without this, so just put that on there. Okay. Get this open. So inside here I keep a pair of gloves. This here is just an army, not a poncho, but kind of like a cover. It's actually, I use this a lot. I usually have a wool garment or something underneath it to keep me warm, and this actually has some waterproofing on the outside that I put on. It is a cotton, and normally I would discourage people using cotton out in the woods, but because they say cotton kills, and I don't know if that's all that true. I think like anything, it's what how you use it. So this is impregnated with a kind of tallow base and beeswax and turpentine and type of thing like that. So I just find that it works really well. I just treat it every time before the season starts, and that's what I use for kind of a cover. In here, and this pretty much takes the bulk of this pack, what's inside, it's just a waterproof bag. It's nothing, it's not really a high name brand, but it holds water just as good as anything else. Nice bright yellow, young yellow. I have a wool blanket. This is a pretty good sized wool blanket. I actually have a tarp inside here, rolled up inside that, so it's kind of like a bedroll, if you will. This also too is as a couple strings. I see if I can put a link onto it, but a whole bunch of people have done this. But the way I learned this from was Dave Canterbury. He had a couple years ago, he did a wool blanket. The trick where you put a blanket around you and you turn it into like a match coat. And so I've got that set up like that so I can use that. And I just put a string or a belt or something around it. Works really good. I do use that quite a bit. And yeah, or I can use it as a wool blanket just to sleep on or what have you. And I got a tarp in it. And I keep everything inside, all this inside my waterproof bag. If I want to put something else inside my pack, I can just strap this onto the bottom with the waterproof bag. And yeah, it keeps it out of the weather and pretty dry. These are the straps that I would use to strap it on with. And a couple pair of extra gloves that just fell on the ground here. I always like to have extra gloves in case I'm with somebody and they need some gloves, or if those other gloves get wet. Other than that, inside here I also have, do this here. Here's something. I was in the dollar store one day and I saw these skewers, and I just put a cork on the end of it. Cork's pretty handy to have. You can cut it up and use it for floats, for fishing or what have you. So, put a cork stop in top of a bottle or what have you. But in this one here, what I've done is I've actually, with these skewers, I have one that's as is, the way they come. This one here I kind of bent it somewhat closed, and this one I bent closed and bent it over. And so what I do, now if I remember how this goes, is I put this like this and pound it into the ground. It actually works pretty good as a tripod, and I'll show you later how I can hang a tin cup or a stainless steel cup or anything like that off of there as sort of a tripod. I could also use it as a squirrel cooker, makeshift squirrel cooker. Just make sure it's going the right way. So it can go like that, or I can even just use it as a stick that into the ground, just hang a pot or something off of there like that, and it works really well. Got it at a dollar store. I think it cost me like at the Dollar Tree $1.25 for 3 of them. I mean, you couldn't even buy the material for that to make a squirrel cooker idea, and it's a lot lighter than making a squirrel cooker out of rebar or something like that. So I just found it takes up no weight. It's good to have. There's a million other things you can use it for. You know, you could lash this onto a stick and make like a frog gig kind of thing, or like a Hawaiian sling idea, or what have you. So there's a billion things you can use these for, and it's just a handy piece of item to have on your kit. Also in here I have another tarp. This is an emergency blanket tarp with a shiny side on one side. Usually use that as a ground cover, or in behind me if I'm doing a quick stop. And I have another tarp in here, much like the one that's rolled up inside the thing. Probably overkill, but I mean, especially this time of year in the wintertime, you can never have too many tarps. You always try to stay dry and what have you. So for me, it's worth the extra weight. So I keep that together inside the pack. And I keep this. I keep a little griddle in here. And I've had this for years. As you can tell, it's pretty goody. But I used to use this when I did a lot of backpacking and stuff like that, and always kind of grown fond of it. It's nice and quick. You can use. You can set it up, put it over a keyhole fire, or Dakota fire pit, or whatever case you want. And I just find it really nice and handy. It's nice and quick. I'm not going out and cutting down sticks quick to try and make a griddle or grill. And I just find this really nice and handy to have. So. Oh, my hands are all black. And that's everything inside the pack. There's nothing else inside there.